Hello, everybody. We are live. As usual, you know what you're supposed to do, right? Okay, I need to share a video link to the various platforms. Yo, Vinny, what's up? What happened? I'm doing the usual, sending the link to the groups, and then we'll start. Amma is on her way. And hey, Anna is always the first here. Wow. Well done, Anna. One of these days, I'll give you Tampico. Evans Bafo, how are you doing? Yeah, Vinny, see your 50mm. It did my desktop. It's always here with me. Still sharing the link. Seun, you say I should say Seun. Seun, what's up? Welcome, everybody. I'm doing the usual, sharing links to various platforms. So once I'm done, then we carry on. What am I showing off, Seun? I don't understand Seun. You people should explain to me what I'm getting wrong. Seun says I'm showing off. Are you talking about my hairstyle or what? Seun. What am I showing off? Okay. Sly. Yeah, you're here. Okay, so guys, if you're here now, don't forget to drop your thumbs up, and also you can share the stream. I'm doing my best to share. So if you can also help me and then just share it to your various platforms, your status everywhere, then life will be good. Then we can start. We've used about, how many? 3 minutes. Okay, today we are on time. We've used like 3 minutes to do the sharing. So let me just share the last one here. Okay, cool. I need to go on Twitter also and go share it there. Yeah, so welcome guys to tonight's edition. We will be having a great discussion. You guys know about that, right? Okay. I'm sharing on Twitter. Your background with clothes, if you know. Seumpa. I think that thing has shocked me. I didn't even notice that. Seun, shame on you. Shame. It has nothing to do with that. Seun. Shock for you. Shock give you. Shock for you. Me, nothing I get to. Okay, so we are here now. Let's get to business, Okay. Shame on you, okay? All right, so Evans, welcome. Seun, welcome. Anna, welcome. Welcome everybody to today's edition. And let me post the last link on Facebook. Then we can start. Yeah. Let me just post on. Oh, I forgot one other place on this thing. Hey, SoTube. Oh, okay. Jisoo. How do you pronounce? Is it Jisoo or Jisoo? Sly, welcome. Jisoo, welcome. I remember you. The Obroni. Yeah. I remember you now. Jisoo. I remember they didn't teach me how to pronounce your name, but I think I remember. I don't think I remember you now. I remember you, pa. What is this wedding? I remember you. Okay, I'm still trying to post the link. Yeah, Obroni. Are you not Obroni? Please. Is this what? Yeah, the yellow. I beg, please. Your Obroni. Jinsu. Hey, what is Jinsu? Daniel, welcome. Welcome, everybody. So we won't waste much time today. We'll do just like 1 hour. So let me go send the link to. Let me send the link to Amma so she would join us. Yeah, so she said she's yellow and all that. So, all right. Now let me copy the link and then post it here. This is the video link. Sheon, if you guys teach me how to pronounce names, I will be able to pronounce them. Jisoo or Yesu. Is it Jesu or Jisoo? See, you know what, Jisoo, I've posted the video link. So just come on, 5 seconds, pronounce your name and go. So just tap on the link, the StreamYard link I've posted. Come and pronounce your name for 5 seconds and disappear again. Okay, so let me get Amma in here so we can start. But in the meantime, tonight we are talking about copyright and legal matters concerning photography, models. You know, anybody in our industry, makeup artists, models, photographers. We are talking about copyright. So if you're here and you're a model, photographer, makeup artist, this is the right place to be. So, okay, so Jisoo is here. Let me add her. All right, Jisoo.
So how to pronounce my name, huh? It's Jisoo.
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 Yeah.
Jisoo. Okay, can we see your face?
Right now I'm exercising actually.
Oh, exercising is good. All right.
So maybe if you guys are curious about my face, you guys can tap on my channel, YouTube.
They want to see the real, like the live face now, as you're here, like at this moment.
Live face. That's a bummer. Let's do that next time. Right now I'm during my exercise.
Okay, next time will be tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, so guys, tomorrow we'll have Jisoo.
Yeah.
On this show, showing us her face.
Very nice. How do you pronounce your name?
Which one?
Ganani or something.
Gananie.
Gananie.
Yeah, it means this is Ghana.
Ah, really?
Yeah, Gananie.
Mekatri kakra.
Hey, okay, Misu Metichi kakra. I think your tree is even better than mine.
Amidasi.
Okay, Sheon, you need to come and rescue me.
I lived here 16 years.
You've been in Ghana for 16 years.
Yes.
Oh wow, and your tree is just like mine.
Kakra.
Yeah, kakra. Yenina kakra. Okay, all right. We won't take much of your time. You can continue with your exercise, but do pay attention here because we are going to talk about, legal matters concerning our industry.
Okay.
All right. So happy exercising.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Ochina.
Ochina Yabeshia. Okay, so our lady of the moment is here. Good evening, Lawyer Amma.
Hi, Michael. Good evening.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. How was yours?
It was okay, just a couple of headaches here and there, but we are good.
Okay. Good.
Okay, so guys, our lawyer is here and she's ready to take off. So Amma, we'll give you, Seun, how many minutes do we give her? Okay, we'll give you a whole 1 hour to do your talks and all that. So we won't interrupt you. Go ahead, let us know everything we need to know about copyright and legal matters. In terms of, we have some makeup artists and then models here and then photographers. So, you know, all these things that have to be, we work with them. So we need them to know all these things so that working with them will be easier. The more they know, the easier it will be for us to carry our duties. So please talk to us. I'll take some questions. So when you're ready for questions, just let me know and then I'll bring them on.
Okay. Hi everyone. So it's good to join you guys in your discussions today. I think 1 hour is quite a long time for me
No
to
problem.
talk.
Just talk. When you're ready for questions, let us know.
So yes, so I'm going to make this as brief as possible. And if you find out that I'm using a lot of legal language, just draw my attention so I can explain it as simple as possible so that everyone can understand. Right. Okay. So I've been invited to have a discussion with you guys on copyright protection in terms of photography. So quickly, I just want to take you guys through some of the key laws, some of the key things to look out for when it comes to your photography business in terms of copyright protection. I think that the last time I keyed into your discussion on photography contracts, we did a bit of here and there touching up in terms of IP rights. So yes, so basically what is copyright about? Copyright protection is this to protect, to offer you protection in terms of your rights to your creative works. And it looks specifically at your literary and artistic works. So if you look at the act, it lists basically everything that is afforded protection. And photography happens to be one of them. So the benefit for photographers in terms of copyright protection is that when you have created your work and you have copyright to it, it protects you against people reproducing, adapting it, copying it, and making distribution of what you have created as your copyrighted work. So basically, that's what, when we talk about copyright in terms of photography, we are looking at the rights that are protected from all of these things. So when you have copyright, then it prevents people from copying, from producing, from reproducing, from distributing what you have copyrighted as your work or you have created as your work. Now, copyright, there are things, the law sets out basically what would constitute works that are copyrightable. So the key thing is that it has to be an original work, right? And it has to be fixed in a medium. Now, so when we talk about original work, we are not looking at quality per se, but it has to be something that you have created out of your own imagination as a creator, as a photography person. So if you take someone's work and then you edit it, that's not original work. If you Photoshop someone's work or a photo that someone has taken, that is not original work. That is entitled to copyright protection. Now, secondly, it has to be in a fixed medium or expression. And it is for this reason why the law says that ideas are not copyrightable. So you cannot protect your ideas. So assuming you sit down and you come up with some concept about going to shoot perhaps in some bush somewhere, right? And then you discuss it with your friend. So you've not really taken any further steps apart from that discussion. And then your friend goes ahead before you do it to create, this conceptualized thing that you have come up with, then those are ideas that are not afforded protection. And so you cannot really get protection to the ideas that you have not put in some form of expression or some medium of expression. So there are other requirements, like you have to be a Ghanaian citizen or you have to be resident in Ghana. But basically the ones that I mentioned are the key things when it comes to copyright protection that we should concern ourselves with for now, unless someone else wants some clarification on the other aspects, like who would be a citizen, who would be resident in Ghana. But those are not discussions that we want to go into because of time. So so those are works that are entitled to. So like I said, the law does not look at the quality of what work you have produced. So it could be a blurred photo, but you think that that blurred photo is your artistic work. So once you have created it, you are afforded, copyright protection for that blurred photo that you have created, right? So the next thing that I want to talk about is what rights are afforded protection under copyright. And last week I did mention 2 rights. That's the economic rights and then the moral rights.
Yes, I remember those 2.
Yes. So your economic rights are pecuniary rights. And by pecuniary rights, these are the rights that afford you the benefits of exploiting your work so that you can get some monetary compensation or monetary payments from what you have created, right? And then moral rights are the rights that protect your integrity and then your attribution as the creator of those photographs or photography works that you have done. So those are distinct things. Now, your economic rights, you can transfer your economic rights. Your economic rights are what, if I say it gives you pecuniary rights, so those are the ones that you can give out to people and then make money off of it, right? But your moral rights, you cannot I should use the word alienate, but that would be too big a word. So you cannot give those rights away. Those rights stay with you. So even though you can transfer your economic rights to someone else to exploit your works, and then he'll pay you something for it, your moral rights remain with you. Those ones have, Now, so for your economic rights, once you create your work, your economic rights exist in you for the duration of your life, and then 70 years thereafter. That is the duration of your interest, your economic rights. But your moral rights, because you cannot assign it, it still remains in you, unalienated. So it doesn't have a limitation as to the duration, right? But in effect, when we are talking about it in loose terms, we say that your copyrights exist for the duration of your life plus 70 years after that, which means that 70 years after that, after your life, the work that you have created becomes public works. And so anyone can use it without necessarily, paying you anything for using it. So those are the clear distinctions between what right you acquire as a photographic creator to your work. Now, I wanted to also discuss with you one thing that came up: who owns the copyright in photography?
Exactly. Right? We discussed something like that, like who owns the pictures. We had something like 2 photographers going for a shoot, and then let's say I employ the services of another person to come shoot. Then at the end of the day, that person says, because I use my camera to take the pictures, so they belong to me. And I'm also like, I hired you to come take the pictures. So we'll be glad if you give us a breakdown of that.
Okay. So now I remember the last time I did say something that visually, let me just use the word loosely, that photography, the copyright to photography will be owned by the person who creates the photography. Now, who is the person who creates the photography? It's usually the one who presses the click right?
Yes.
To take a
Yes.
photograph shoot. So that is what we had talked about. That invariably that would be the person who presses the click to
Yes.
take photography. Now, that is to say that it can be owned by an individual, right? Copyrights to photos can be owned by an individual. Now, if I say that the one who presses the click is subject to exceptions, right? And when you raise your scenario, I remember saying that sometimes contracts can change the narration of ownership of photograph. So if you have a contract that says that perhaps you are hiring someone, at the end of the day, even though that person is the one taking the picture, you will own the copyright to it. Then it changes the ownership to you instead of that person, because she had hired them to perhaps assist you to take pictures on your project, right? So contract to some extent can change the narration of ownership. Now, I restrain myself from going so much into who presses the click, but there's an interesting case that I came across that I thought I should share with you. And
Okay.
this they call the monkey selfie case, right? The monkey selfie case. I don't know if anyone has ever come across
I think I've come across it online.
Right. Okay. So this is a case where a photographer had gone to a monkey sanctuary to take pictures. He did take some pictures, but he thought it wasn't good quality because the monkeys were all over the place. So he set up his tripod and then left his camera on, right?
Yeah.
Then, the monkeys, out of curiosity, would always approach, try to see what is happening. This is like, monkeys are a bit, like, I don't want to say it, but you get where I'm going with this.
Yeah,
So the monkeys go to press the shutter on the camera and take some pictures of themselves. Now, one of them was a good quality selfie that one of the monkeys had taken of himself, and then this photographer comes back, sees the picture and says, oh, this is creative, this is nice, because there's a smiley monkey. It's very rare. If you Google it right now, it's out there. You find that picture. If you Google the monkey selfie, you see it. So he tried to put it out there and sell it. His agent has sent it out there. And then Wikipedia had put it on their platform as a public photo, right? So the photographer contacts Wikipedia and says, this is not a public photo. This is my copyrighted work because it's a picture that, had been created on my camera in a monkey sanctuary. Now, when you put it out there, Wikipedia did not mind him because Wikipedia thinks you didn't click the shutter. It's the monkey who clicked the shutter. So you cannot claim copyright to that work. Interestingly enough, they refused to do it. They still put it out there as public work because this is something that a monkey had taken of himself, and it wasn't the photographer who had taken of himself. Now, there's an organization called PETA, and if you know PETA is an activism group that's always fights for the better treatment of animals. So they had sued the photographer, right? Subsequent to Wikipedia ignoring the photographer that is public work, they had sued the photographer and said that the monkey owned the rights to the photography because the monkey was the one that had clicked it. So they actually took the photographer to court to claim rights on behalf of the monkey. Wow. This was an interesting case that had been brought to court. Of course, the lawyers for the photographer had argued that what right does a monkey have being in court claiming rights? I mean, it doesn't make sense
at all.
A monkey would come to court and claim rights over a photography, right? But it's rather an unfortunate case because it didn't travel all the way for conclusive judgment to be given on it. The parties settled out of court, and it is no one knows what the settlement terms are, but it's always alleged that the photographer had agreed to settle the monkey sanctuary with whatever percentage that he made of of the photograph. So
Okay.
it didn't really travel that far for the court to make a conclusive decision as to who owned the photograph, whether the monkey or
the photographer.
the photographer. But in subsequent cases, the courts in the UK, and these are UK US cases, because Ghanaian case law is not really, you don't really get a lot of cases in Ghana about photography infringements and all of those.
I think now that we have you, we will test it.
Right. So I mean, in the courts have often said that it's they don't just look at who clicked the shutter, but they look beyond all of that to look at the circumstances. So if it's an original work of someone, then the person has to show that they set the setting, they chose the background, all of those things come to play to show that it's your original work. So in this case, the photographer, right? Of course, he didn't click the shutter, but he set up his camera, he adjusted the settings on the camera, and then luckily for him, the monkey had taken that shot. So in a sense, because it's a device and all of those things, he can claim copyright to the work, the picture that was taken. Now, so that's just, by the way, just to give you a fair idea of how copyright ownership works.
And so that really worked.
Right. So apart from individuals owning the creative work, it can also be owned by two people, so joint ownership, right? So in the circumstance that you gave, you go and contact a friend of yours to assist you do this project, and then you decide at the end of the day that let's agree we'll be joint owners of it. That's allowed under the law, right?
Okay.
But it's all subject to contract, because if you want joint ownership, then you have to put it in your contract. So then once it's there, you can proceed to register as joint owners to that corporate, right? Or you can proceed to hold the rights to the photograph as joint owners, right? Now, apart from that, there can also be situations of employment and commission works. And I recall a question that was asked last week about what happens if you are commissioned to work on a project. Who owns the copyright in those circumstances?
Yes.
Right. So when it comes to employment situations, in the absence of a contract, usually the employer is the owner of the copyright, and especially the economic rights. So the employer, right, is always seen as the owner of the copyright to works that are created during the period of employment. That is in terms of employment. When it comes to commission works, because someone is commissioning you for works, in the absence of, like I always say, in the absence of contract, because contracts, the law recognizes contracts, which is the consent that two people reach in such matters. So the law also recognizes that in the absence of contract, if it's a commissioned work, then the person who has commissioned the work would own the copyrights, which in a sense means the right to exploit the economic rights in the photography. Contract changes all of that. If it is the intention of the photographer to retain his copyright, even in the commissioned situation, then he has to put it in contract. In Ghana, our law doesn't really make a distinction as to when there is no existence of a contract. In other jurisdictions, if there's no contract, the law will always say that the photographer retains his copyright interest to the photograph. That is in other jurisdictions. But in Ghana here, the law is saying that in the absence of a of a contract, right, the commissioner, or like the person who commissions the work, owns the copyright to the work.
Okay, so let me just
right.
try and get. So let's say now you are opening your shop, and then you contract me to come take pictures at your shop opening for you. And then I submit the pictures, and I don't have any contract stating that what I own the rights to the pictures. You, the one who own the shop, like since you ask me to come take pictures at the opening of your shop, that means you own the pictures. Is that what you're
Right.
saying?
Yes, because it's a commission work, so they are paying you. So let's take weddings for instance, right?
Okay,
So the
yeah,
person
good example.
contacts you and says, "Come and take pictures of my wedding for me. I'm going to pay you so and so amount for it," because it's a commission work. This is someone's wedding. They're asking you to come and do the photography shoot. Now, if you take the pictures at the wedding, like I said the other day, if there's 100 pictures that you take, and that is what you have agreed on, it means that they have commissioned you to take 100 pictures. They now own the copyright to the use of those pictures, right?
Yes.
In the absence of a contract. But if you had an agreement with them that says that I'm giving you 100 pictures, but I'll still keep the rights to it, perhaps the economic rights to the pictures, so that I can exploit it, or you are giving them some sort of license, but not giving away all your rights to it, then the rights remain in you. So I hope that is clear.
Yes, that might come, a bit disappointing to some of us, but I think it's clear, it's understood. So that's why, guys, you always need to have a contract.
Yeah.
Okay, please carry on.
Okay, so I think I've touched on ownership. I've touched on duration as well. So I want to also discuss with you how copyright works, right? So the law says that once your work is created, automatically copyright is created. So you do not necessarily have to register your work to acquire copyright to the work. Once it's created, automatically copyright is created. However, it is beneficial to you if you register copyright to your photograph, especially if you're looking to exploit your photographs in a commercial way. In other jurisdictions, registration comes with some statutory benefits, but I think mostly with Ghana's statutes, it's extensive to whether registered or not, right? But registering your copyright is conclusive proof that you are the owner of the right of the photographs. So in any issue of litigation, once you go to court and you show your certificates of registration, that shows that inarguably that you are the owner of those photos. So the person cannot come back and say, "Oh, but I picked it up," or like there's no excuse because you have proof of ownership. And that is why it is said that it's always advisable that, even though it's not a necessary requirement, it's always advisable that as much as often you register your copyright to the work. So that is one thing that I wanted to touch on. Now, I wanted to talk about the fact that as much as the law offers you protection against the use of your copyright, there are some exceptions to, or like permissible use of copyright, some free use of copyright that the law recognizes. Sorry, someone is trying to log in. The person can't. Let me just give the person Ghana me.
Okay, no problem. So we have a couple of questions here also. So once you're done with your presentation, we'll bombard you with those questions.
Okay. So yes, so there are permissible use of copyright. So even though you have created it, the law allows to some extent that you don't keep it to yourself. So you allow other people to use it as well. So it lists quite a number of circumstances. I just want to touch on a few of them so that as much as possible I can allow room for discussion. So one of the permissible use is when I'm taking your pictures for my own personal use. So not necessarily because I want to gain some economic use from it, but because I see your picture and then I like it, and then I contact you and I say, oh, Michael, I've seen your picture, it's nice, I just want to repost it on my page, so it's just for personal use. And perhaps I'm studying, I'm preparing for exams, or perhaps like some school projects or something. Those are permissible use. So those ones, when I take your pictures and I use them, I don't infringe on your rights. Another thing is when I'm perhaps like I'm doing this thing at the moment, and then I quote, for instance, this situation of the monkey, the monkey selfie, right? And then I take this picture as it was copyrighted because it's just a quote, and I'm trying to use to explain something, and it's not necessarily to make money off of it. The law allows it to some extent, provided it is justifiable in the circumstances. So it also applied to newspaper. I think the last time someone asked a question about newspaper, when a newspaper takes your photo and uses it as well.
Yes.
I recall there was a question like that. Well, that is allowed.
Yes, there was.
Yes, so long as it is justifiable. So assuming the newspaper is broadcasting something in terms of perhaps something that has happened, because the law allows when there's current issues, right? And then the newspaper wants to give information out of that, and perhaps because you were on the field and then you took that one picture that projects what the current issue is, then the law allows them to use your photography for that, provided that they give you credit as the photographer. So I should add that. Okay,
so let me just jump in on that. Let's say there was this situation. It's a real life thing. Uncle Bob Pixel took some pictures at, I think, Asante Otumfo's mother's funeral, and then I think most of the bloggers, even I think Graphic Online, Major Online, they all took the images and then used them as part of their story. So that falls within what you just said, but they did not credit him. So he got furious, and it still happens that most of these online media houses take pictures from festivals, or let's say I took a picture of the Independence Square, posted it on my website. They go pick it up, and then if they have any story that has to do with Ghana and they want an iconic image, they use that without crediting. So in a situation like that, what do you do? Does it fall under what you said, that the fair usage thing?
Right. So sorry, if it's to broadcast, like I said, current issues, and they take it, then to some extent they are permitted to use it, but of course they have to give you that credit. And so if they don't give you the credit as the author or the creator, then to some extent they infringe upon your right. But what would constitute current issues or current news in the circumstances would be subject to the interpretation of the courts, because arguably there's a provision that says that it has to be justifiable. The use or whatever use they are subjecting it to will have to be justifiable. Now, there's also a provision in the law that says that if it is to communicate like economic or political or some religious topics, and the media house is taking that to project that, they are allowed to use it, except where you yourself, prior to publishing it, had put there that you cannot use my copyrighted work, right? So photographers have to be diligent when it comes to it comes to the terms of the law. So the law says that if there has been any express provision by the photographer prohibiting the use of his work under the circumstance, then if the media house or the newspaper house or wherever takes that work and uses it and disregards what the photographer has said prior to this, then they would be infringing on the rights of the photographer. So of course, it would take a prudent photographer not to just put their works out there without, making express conditions to the use of their work in terms of media publications and stuff like that. So I hope
Okay.
that answers to some extent.
So
the question.
that also means that does that mean they can then pick that image and use without even asking for my permission? Let's say in the case where I haven't stated that copyright, don't use it with those things. If let's say it's a current affair, something, can they pick it, use it without my permission?
Yes, the law
According
allows
to the
that.
fair usage thing.
Yes, the law allows them to use it if it's current, perhaps like political. Let's say like there's something political happening, and then you go and take a picture, and then you don't issue any express conditions that it cannot be used without your consent. Then they are allowed to some extent to use it, and the usage must be justifiable. That the law says. But if you do not not meticulous enough to put those provisions, the law is saying that they have the fair use to use your image or photography to make those publications to some extent.
Okay.
All right. And okay, so one other condition is when it's for educational purposes. So if it's for teaching, publications that touch on education to some extent, the law allows that. It doesn't mean that they have, but that is also subject to some limitation because it has to be justifiable. So let's say Akiola takes your picture, and because they think that they publish books that are like for educational purposes and they don't seek your consent, and they use that to sell their books, for instance, to some extent they are infringing on your copyright. So the fact that it's for educational purposes doesn't mean that anyone can just pick it and use it for whatever thing that they do under the pretext of education. So for instance, let's say if GBC wants to do some educational purposes on the washing of hands, right, on one of their shows, and then they pick up your video or your photo and then they use it, they have the right because it's for educational purposes. They are teaching us how to wash our hands properly, and then your picture or your video happens to fit into that category of what it is they intend doing. So that, in a sense, would be fair use, right? But if someone else is picking it to publish their book and sell it and make money off of it, that would to a large extent be infringement of your copyright.
Okay.
Yes. So I don't know if you want us to take some questions or you want me to just proceed and deal with it.
Yes, let's take some questions so that they don't pile up. Now, from the beginning, I have some of them were answered through your thing. So one person, Teolabi says, if another photographer edits your raw images and they put their logo on it, can you sue them? Let's say during the lockdown, there were some challenges, like retouching challenges. So I take some pictures and then I post the raw files online for people to retouch and then repost to show their retouching skills. Now, if somebody does that and then puts their logo on, and posts on their page. Now, the thing is, if your watermark is on a picture, it shows that you are the owner of that picture. So if somebody just edits your raw picture and then puts their logo on, let's say without your permission, can you sue them? That's what Theolabi is asking.
Yes, and that will take us back to the ownership of copyright and sort of answer it to some extent, because like I said, the law does not look at what quality it is. It doesn't look at the fact that you have the raw images and someone has the edited or refined form. Once you are the one that created that photograph, it is your creation. It's your original creation, right? And so if someone picks your original creation and edits it, it doesn't become their original work enough for them to have copyright to it. They would have infringed on your copyright
Okay.
large extent. Yeah.
So that's automatic. So Theolabi, you can sue them and make some money. Now let's look at the next one. Someone says, when I take a photo of a person and I'm paid for my service, who owns the copy? I think you already explained that, like concerning that the wedding, and then me shooting for your shop opening, and that if there is no contract, then the one who commissions the work has ownership of that. Am I right?
Yes. So like I explained, from earlier, if someone is you're taking a picture and someone is paying for it, it's assumed to be a commission work, because once they are paying you for the images that you are taking of them. And I said that in other jurisdiction, like in other jurisdiction, if in the absence of a contract, ordinarily they would say that because the photographer took the pictures, they retain the copyright. But unfortunately, our law does not make that distinction. It says that any commission work, the person who commissioned it is assumed to be the owner of the copyright, unless there is a contract that says otherwise.
Okay, so guys, contract too. Make sure you have contracts and state it in your contract who owns the copyright. Now, the next question is, when a photographer displays my pictures at his studio, what will be the legal implication? So this is the case. Let's say I took some beautiful pictures of some models, and then my friend happens to, or somebody else sees the pictures online and they are beautiful. So he decides to just enlarge them and then print them on a frame or canvas and then hang them in his studio. Now, the implication, like basic, means if you go to someone's studio and you see pictures hanging there, it means they took those pictures. So Alexander wants to know, what are the legal implications of such things for someone to, print and display his pictures in the person's studio?
So my question, this question raises another question. Is it a picture that Alexander Alexander, that's my colleague. Oh, hi, Alex. Yeah, so then the question is, I don't want to try and understand him from what I'm saying, but this question raises two questions. Is Alexander the photographer who took the pictures?
Yes.
That was displayed at the studio, or
yes.
Is it just a matter of he goes to another person's studio and sees his image displayed at the studio? Because then that would raise a lot of question if it's just he just goes to a studio and it's just his picture. Because I explained something the other time, that there's a difference between who owns the copyright and then who has the image rights to the photography. So it is possible that the photographer who has displayed the pictures might own the copyright, but Alexander in this sense might just have the image rights.
Okay, I think Alexander is, from his first question, these are follow-up questions. So from his first question, he said what? Of a person, and I'm paid for my services. So he's talking as a photographer.
I didn't get, so his first question was?
His first question was, let me project it. So he says what? When I take a photo of a person and I'm paid for my services. So we are seeing him as a photographer.
Okay, so that was the question that we answered before.
Yes, and then this one came after that.
When a photographer displays my pictures at his studio, what would be the legal implication?
Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to explain, that if it's just a matter of his so a photographer takes, so I'm a photographer and I take an image of him, right, at an event, and then I go and put it in my studio and I project it, have I infringed on his copyright? No. And I say no in the loose sense that the photographer might be the owner of the copyright and not necessarily him, right? So, and this brings me back to in the absence of a contract.
Yes.
So in the absence of the contract, if the person has commissioned the work, then of course, because he owns the copyright, the photographer would be infringing on his rights if he's commercializing, exploiting his economic rights. Right? Now, if it's a matter of I go to his studio and he has projected it there, what is the projection doing? Those are questions, that circumstances that the law will consider when determining whether there has been an infringement to some extent. Because it could be, let me give you one permitted use that is allowed under the law. The law allows for display of photographs at a museum, right? At a library, and then to some extent at a gallery, right? So if the photographer has a gallery and is displaying your photo, not for economic gain or anything, but as an aesthetic thing, then would the photographer had infringed on your copyright? It boils down to what is the justifiable reason for such use in the photographer's shop. So it is not necessarily a matter of because you go and the photographer has displayed a picture of you, that the photographer to a large extent has infringed on your copyright. So I hope that answers.
So that will answer the models. Now the other side of this question is Alexander is a photographer.
Okay.
And I'm also a photographer. Now I see Alexander's photograph he took on his website. And because it's nice, I decided to pick it up, print it, and hang it in my studio.
That would be a reproduction of your work. And yes, if another photographer takes your photograph and then reproduces it into print and then goes to put it in their studio, that would be, to some extent, that would be an infringement of your copyright to it, because you own the copyright. You own the copyright. So if he's going to reproduce it, because you own the right to reproduce it and to economic gains from that reproduction, then he should have sought your consent. And if you intend to perhaps have him pay anything to you to be able to use that, then you give him the go ahead. He pays you off, and then you give him to some extent some license to the use of your photograph. But in the absence of that, then he would have to some extent infringed on your copyright.
Okay, so guys, that's it. These things happen for real. Let's say I see a picture Joey has taken. The picture is so nice. Then I just pick it up and then go and print it and put it in my studio. Now, the basic understanding is anybody who enters my studio and sees pictures hung on the wall will assume I took those pictures. Exactly. So, guys, it's wrong. Seek permission.
Yes, exactly.
That's the bottom line.
And so it brings me back to the question that was asked about the raw and then the editing of the photo and all.
Yes.
If you look at Google, for instance, there are pictures that, when you want to copy a picture to be used in your photo editing, you have to pick a picture that allows you a limited use to modify the picture. So it's not every picture that you can just pick off of Google and then use it in your editing or in your graphic works or stuff like that. You would have infringed on the copyright. So those are some uses that if a person goes to that extent, they would have infringed on your copyright.
Okay, so Akosia is saying, I know a friend who just started a modeling agency. I noticed yesterday he got a picture online, claimed the photographer's name, and used it as his status, saying these are some of his models. So this is clearly stealing, this representation, because that model isn't your model, and it's clear stealing. You claim the person's logo from the image. So somebody like that, I mean, the police can just arrest him, right?
that's clearly infringement, because once the picture is there and the person has put their name on it, you cannot go and clean. I see it happen all the time. I see people take other people's, especially on Instagram. So there are people that go all out for their products, and then they take pictures and they put their names on it, and then you see another person in that same industry or business Then they take the person's picture, they cut out the name from the picture, and then they repost it from there. That's clearly, and in this sense, they are economizing the person's photograph. That's
Especially these Botox enhancement creams and stuff. Okay, so Queen Shatta says, can you explain the wedding bit again? So I think that has to do with the commissioning, that if somebody has you to shoot their wedding and you haven't stated in there that you own the rights to the images, then you have already given, it is assumed that they have the rights to those specific images that you stated that you give them. So if it's 50 images that you promise giving them, they own rights to those images, right?
Sorry, I didn't get that again.
Yes, so I think we were talking about the wedding thing.
The wedding bit, yes.
So I think she was a bit confused, so she wants us to explain it further.
And you know, contracts should be a part of photography. I keep on saying, you don't need like a 6-page contract. You don't need like a 5-page contract. You can have like a nicely developed, you know, 1-page contract that captures all the things that you want when you are dealing with people in the industry. So that if you are taking wedding photography for someone, you retain your rights to the economic exploitation of those pictures. So that if I take a picture of, let's say, Sarkodie, right, and then you know, got married, and then people took pictures, and the pictures were all over the place. But assuming I had the contract with him that said that even though I'm taking these pictures, I would retain the copyright to it, to use the right to some extent. You are giving him, you know, the right to use the images, but you're limiting what use he can have to those images. But you retain the right to give exclusive rights of those you know, pictures to another person to perhaps use them for any other thing. You put it in a contract, you know, and then have the people sign. It doesn't have to be a bulky contract, but contracts, trust me, plays a big deal when it comes to.
So guys, you heard it from the lawyer. I've been telling them this contract, even if it's just one paragraph, that states the basic things, you know, the things you want to keep, just state it in one paragraph and let them sign before you deliver. That will save you a whole lot. Now, Justice is asking a question, which I had wanted to ask at the end of your presentation, but once he's here, let's just take it. He's asking, please, must I register every image for copyright, or just one registration will cover every picture of mine? So as a photographer, let's say I have both registered or non-registered. How do I go about? I think, okay, we'll keep this for your presentation. So getting to the end, you can answer this one. So I'll note this question down. Or is it something simple that you can answer?
Oh, yes. Must I register every image for copyright, or just one registration will cover every picture of mine? So like I explained earlier, registration necessarily does not give you, you know, you don't really, it's not a mandatory requirement. The law does not say that you have to register your photograph to get protection, you know, or to get copyright protection. But if you have pictures that you think that, because let's say you do a project, you decide to do, I see people do photography projects where they come up with these beautiful concepts, and then they take, you know, they take pictures in, like, let's say I come up with this idea about rape, right? And then I want to do a project on rape. So I take pictures that portrays, you know, the artistic side of rape, right? Then you would want to take those images and go and register them. Just registering one does not give you registered rights over all the others. But if you want to register the images, then you have to register the right to all of them, not just one image, right? But the fact that you have registered, if you have registered copyright to one, does not preclude you from exerting your ownership, your copyright ownership to the other ones. Like I explained earlier, the benefit of copyright registration is that it gives you conclusive proof of your ownership to those ones. So if someone else takes it, and then comes to court and comes to say, oh, you know, I also came up with some rape thing. This is my pictures, and then that's one picture of yours that the person has included in there forms part of it. Then once you bring your certificate to show that you registered the right to that particular image, that person cannot assert ownership to that right. So I hope that answers just question.
Okay, so if I get you right, every image, like any image that you want copyright to, you know, have that effect on, you need to register it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So the next one says, wait. So if I get it correctly, no photographer can upload your picture online without your consent. So Pokuya, we've explained that you know, some for fair usage or for purpose of education or public awareness or something. Yeah, that can happen. But if it has to do with monetary gains or those things, then your permission would have to be sought first. Lawyer, am I right?
Yes, you are right.
Okay, so Hector now.
Now that photographer is putting your photograph, your picture online without your consent.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I keep on saying, is this person coming from the point of they have taken a picture?
No, we are talking in terms of photographers. So we have taken the picture.
Okay. So yes, they cannot upload your picture that you have taken online. They cannot use it for their website without seeking your consent. That would amount to infringement.
Okay. And what if it's in the case of this photograph, it's of a client? Let's say I go to a festival and then I take a picture of one well-dressed, somebody well-dressed in kente or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I post that online without the person's permission.
So then that person is not your client, because you do not, unless the person has contracted you, has commissioned you to take pictures of them. But like I said, the fact that the person has the image right does not necessarily mean that they have the copyright. So we have to draw that distinction.
Okay.
Or if you go to an event and you take pictures of people, unless, and I keep on saying this, unless you are going to use their photograph for some sort of commercial purpose or some other reason that you think might to some extent infringe on their privacy, their image rights and their right to privacy, then you would have to seek their consent, right? Before you can use.
So I think at the end of this, we'll talk about street photography. Also, the do's and don'ts, your right, where your rights end as a street photographer. Let's say you just go to the market and then start taking pictures of happenings, or you stand by the roadside, take pictures of cars and all that. The rights to take those pictures or not. We'll talk about that at the end of this. So let me see. Okay, so Etonam says, does your photography have to be registered as a business before you can claim copyright? I think she has explained this, that no, you don't need to be registered as a business before you can claim copyright. Lawyer, am I right?
Does your photography have to be registered as a business for? This is a very, very vague question, because I think last week we addressed something similar to this. I don't know if the person is limiting us to just copyright or
just copyright.
Whether you can register your photography to be, like I explained, photography can be owned by an individual. So if you've not registered your business, you can register your rights as an individual to the photographs that you have taken. Right, exactly. If you do subsequently register your business and you want to transfer your rights to the business, it is allowed. You just have to assign by a contract, by a deed of assignment or a contract, assigning all your rights to those photographs to the business that you have subsequently established.
All right. So there's another question over here. This I don't know, but maybe you might have the answer. What is the sanction or punishment for one who falls for copyright? So if somebody infringes on my copyright, what are the sanctions or punishment? I don't know if that's answerable.
Okay, let me just, as much as possible, how many, we've done 1 hour already. Okay, so maybe because
Yes.
these questions are coming up before I went into infringement and what remedies
Okay,
are
but if
available.
we ask a question which you have already stated in your presentation, then we can just move on because I'm sure these were coming when you were doing your presentation.
Yes, yes. So let me just address it anyway. So when someone infringes on your copyright, there are several remedies that are available to you. But the law recognizes 2 actions that you can bring against a person who infringes on your copyright. So the first is you can bring a civil claim against the person. Then, there are criminal sanctions that a person who infringes on your copyright would also face. Now, if you bring a civil claim, what the courts will usually do is order an injunction to prevent the person from continuously infringing on your copyright. The courts would also give you some sort of compensation for the infringement. And then there's also the option to seize and destroy whatever reproduction that they have done in terms of your infringed copyright material. Now, on the other hand, too, is the criminal aspect for infringements, where you either pay a fine or you are in prison for a specified duration. So.
Okay, so the next question is it right for a client to ask a photographer to pull down his or her image after posting it on your website or Instagram? So I think this has also been answered already. It all has to do with contract. Before you post your client's image, you need to, I think it's just right. It's just okay to ask for permission or state it in your contract that some of the images will be used for promotional purposes on your website or on social media. If the client agrees, you go ahead. If they don't agree, you don't do it. Am I right?
Right. You're right. Because don't forget that.
Okay. All right. So
if it's a commission work, then you as a photographer don't have any right to the image. The copyright falls on the client. So that's the person who commissioned you. So if you want to put the image up on your website or on your IG, it is only fair that you always make the clients aware. You seek the client's consent because they own the copyright. And yeah, so. And usually,
okay, so guys, consent.
Yeah.
All right. So Evans has brought us to I was thinking we can do the street photography aspects at the end of your presentation, but he's asked, and then I think there is somebody, Nanaresh is also asking about the same thing. So let's handle it now. What about street photography? If I take a picture of someone outdoors in a public setting, what rights do I have as a photographer in using the image? So let's say I go to the mall or standing by the roadside, some trotro and people are alighting and it's so nice that I want to capture it to tell a story. What rights do I have? And then what are the rights of the people in these images?
Okay, so like I said from the beginning, if you take a picture of someone outdoors in the public setting on the streets, you own the copyright to whatever image you take, right? And so you have the right to exploit those images to your own benefit or to your own gain. But a lot of times, because the people also have an image right, you would always, as much as possible, want to seek their consent if you are going to use it for any commercial purpose. Because
Okay.
it would, me for instance, I would be pretty much upset if I see my picture blown up on a billboard without my consent, you
Me
know.
too.
And a lot of time you will have people call you like, I've seen your image, you are on a billboard. Since when did you start doing billboards? And you know, you have no idea what is going on. So if I mean, there's been a case like that where someone had taken a picture of a family that he intended to, so on the streets, you know, at an event, that he intended to use the images for a commercial billboard. Now, when he had done that, the family saw it. They were not amused about it, and then they had contacted the photographer, the advertising company, to take it down. The advertising company had contacted the photographer. So in this sense, because the billboard had already been done, and they, you know, of course, taking it down would be an extra cost to the advertising company. It was all subject to negotiation. So they negotiated, and then the family signed a release form to the advertising company and the photographer, giving them a limited use of that particular image that the photographer had taken. So as much as you own the copyright to exploit it, you should be mindful of privacy issues as well. And when it comes to the image rights of other people. That is why mostly when you are doing street photography, for instance, and you're taking images of people, you would usually very often approach them and then ask them if they don't mind you taking the pictures, right? Lots of time when people see you, it would always prevent you from taking their picture. You cannot force yourself to take their pictures, because at the moment they say no, don't take my picture, if you take it, you are infringing on their privacy rights. So it is always best that you seek their consent before you use their images for whatever it is that you want to. But once you take those street photography pictures, you are assumed the copyright owner.
Okay, so Mark Sicho, your question is in line with that. Just that you said Independence Day, like a public gathering. So is it the same principle applies to it, right?
Yes. So his question is, to what extent can you share or post a photo taken from a public event? Like I said, sharing and posting may not necessarily be an infringement, right? But if you are going to make some sort of economic gain from it, then as much as possible, you would want to seek their permission. Because mind you, they also have the right to be protected from the use of their image. So just a matter of, have an IG page, I take pictures and I'm sharing it on my IG page, might not necessarily be an infringement of well, let me not use the word infringement, because they do not own the copyright, but it might not be a violation of their privacy rights or their image rights if you are just taking a picture of an event and then of them at an event and then you are sharing it. But if you are going to commercialize whatever picture you have taken, then of course you would want to seek.
Okay. All right. So Nanaresh is asking, can I take up an infringement which occurred, say, 5 years ago? Say a business used my image to advertise their business without my consent, and I'm now seeing it. So this is like post-dated something or backdated something.
Can I take up an infringement which occurred 5 years ago? Say a business used my image to advertise their business with my consent, without my consent, and I'm now seeing it. Yes, you can, provided you are not barred by the statute of limitation. We have every country, and most countries like Ghana, we have a statute of limitation that gives a duration within which you cannot bring an action in our courts. So if it has to do with a contract, there's a limitation. If it has to do with negligence, there's a limitation. So once you are not caught up by the law, then you are free to take up an action against whatever company that use your business.
Okay, Nana, you are free to go chase them for the money. Charlie, come and give me 10%. Why? All right, so let me now, for now, the questions from the participants are over. As I said, now I have Joey and Catalyst backstage. I'm going to give them about 10 minutes each to have a discussion with Amma. But for now, Amma, are you done with your presentation, or there is something more you want to bring up?
Because a lot of what is left has been touched on, I think that
okay.
I think that well, we still have some few time,
take questions rather.
I was gonna talk about what would amount to infringement. I was gonna talk about well, we've discussed the remedies, so I wouldn't really go into that. Then I also wanted to touch about the ways that you can transfer your interest, you transfer your copyright to another person. So those were the things that I was going to touch on, but we can take questions.
Okay, all right. So Joey, get ready. I'm bringing you on. You have 10 minutes. No, 10 minutes is too much. 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to ask your questions. Then Amma will do her best to answer them. But over here, I have somebody asking, the Curtis, if you're here, then this will be of interest to you. Now, over last week, I think Shatta Wale posted something on his Snap. Then a blogger took that video and then reposted, I think, on their blog. Now, we all know bloggers, and their blog, it's for monetary gains. Now, the blog has been commercialized because of ads and all those things, right? Now, the blogger reposted Shatta Wale's video without his consent, and Shatta said he was going to sue the blog. A lot of people took interest, some saying, I think it was on this app. I've forgotten the app, but this one that women use with the filters and all that. Snapchat. It was on Snapchat. So some were arguing that Snapchat has its terms of usage. That once it goes on Snapchat, it doesn't belong to you anymore, and a lot of stuff. So let's say I post a picture. I think that has also been answered. We've answered that part also already. And then somebody wants to know, how do you go about registering an image for copyright?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yes, if let's say me, I want to register an image for copyright. What are the procedures?
Right. So you register your image, your copyright the image with the copyright office, right? And a lot of times you present them with copies of whatever images that you want copyrighted. There are forms that you fill, and then you attach a fee that you have to pay to to register, and then you submit all of those details for the copyright office.
Okay.
If anyone wants to,
all right. So Joey,
I have an inside person willing to assist them with their registration.
Okay, so guys, if you want to register, I told you guys, Amma is here to stay with us. We are going to. You see how the drug empires have one lawyer for everything that relates to them. We have a lawyer relating to everything we do. So Amma is here to stay with us. So if you need, to register an image for copyright, Amma is here with us. So this is Curtis, Shatta Wale's photographer. He's asking a follow-up question on the 5-year something. So he's asking, I think he didn't get the answer right. So he say, nicely ask them to pay you or take them to court right away. Like, do you have to nicely go and ask them, or do you just take them straight to court?
Oh, okay. So there are several ways that you can have your copyright infringement issues addressed. I think most of the time it would also depend on what approach that you as the photographer think is best for you. So if you think that it's a matter that you would want to take straight to court, I mean, nothing prevents you from that. But you can also serve them, you can also have a sit down with them and negotiate some way out. So if you do speak with a lawyer on your copyright infringement issues, they would give you what options that are usually or what approaches that they usually follow to get your, but it will all depend on what you want as an individual. So if you want to nicely ask them to pay you, of course, most lawyers would issue a demand letter where they would ask that you pay a certain amount of compensation for whatever infringement, right? And then there's also the option of going to court to seek redress. Oftentimes, if they don't want to pay you after you have written to them, you would end up in court. It is not always the case. It is not always the case that you would have to take money, right? And I recall last week where we had a discussion, I think Catalyst had made mention of the fact that in one scenario, there was some way forward where they had done other projects together. Instead of him taking money, they ended up hiring him to do other projects for them. So all of these things
I remember that.
Exactly. So it all depends on what makes business sense to you as an individual, as a business entity.
Okay, so Awuku, you had our lawyer. She said it depends on you. Yeah, it depends on you, Charlie. If you want to just take them straight to court, or you want to go and sit down with them, Charlie, you guys use my image or give me some 10K and I'll keep quiet or that kind of thing. So yes, that's that. Now, Joey,
you can nicely ask them, and then oftentimes they will settle. The reason why a lot of our cases don't go to court is because of settlement.
Okay. I'll prefer settlement because it's easy.
Once they agree that they have infringed, they often do not want to go to court. So they will sit with you and negotiate some, way out. Yeah.
Okay, so these people want to chew me for the drug empire example I made. See, I love watching drug movies on Netflix, this Escobar, El Chapo, and I like the way their organization is. That's why I want us to have that kind of community, shared resources. We bring everything together. And so, Joey, you have 10 minutes with Amma.
10 minutes short. Please don't do that. You've kept me waiting for that long. You want to give me 10 minutes.
No worry, we've exhausted 1 hour 30 minutes, so we need to make it big.
I have a few questions for is it lawyer Amma or barrister Amma, our legal counsel? I mean, my mind they rough. Right, so with the monkey selfie photo, right? I know to every camera has the option to actually authorize or make known to people that you are the author of whatever pictures that are going to be taken. So I know I have a 6D, I have a Mark IV, and there are options on those cameras where act author and copyright. So there's author, I've put in my name there, and there's copyright, I've put in my name there, right? So let's say with the monkey selfie, after going to court and all that, and they asking for my metadata. So the metadata has my name as the author and the copyright. How do we solve that issue?
I am not sure I got your question. So who puts in your name as author and copywriter? Is it you as the individual?
Me, yes. You key them in because you bought the camera brand new, right? So everything is yours at that particular moment. So if I key in my name as the author, if I key in my name as the copyright, how does that one help me?
So let me just put it this way. And the Naruto, is that the name of the monkey? The Naruto case is quite an interesting one. Of course, those are very rare situations that happen. But I want to draw, just to answer your question, I want to draw emphasis on Michael, the question that you asked the other day about if you hire someone to assist you take pictures.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question with that particular one. So
okay.
I would be glad if you touch
then.
different.
Oh, sorry. Were you saying something?
Yeah, I'm like, I have a follow-up question to the one I just asked, because the question Michael asked about hiring, let's say, another photographer to help you on a project. Here in the case, I provide the camera and everything. So I have
exactly. So I was just coming to answer.
I have my camera and I give the other camera with this, let's say, the other 6D camera with my author and copyright as my name. How does that one end up?
So so that brings me to I was just going to answer it, but I just wanted to use that example because that made a lot more sense than the monkey selfie debate.
Okay, then let me take away the monkey
selfie. That's a beautiful picture, by the way. So
yeah, so that's the monkey selfie, guys.
So here's the thing. It does not matter whose device that I use. So I can take Michael's camera, for instance, and then take a picture. It does not make Michael the copyright owner of the picture, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm the one that took the picture. I'm the one that perhaps adjusted the settings and everything. I'm the one that came up with the concept of, okay, let me see, this background looks good. So I'm going to take a picture of this image with this background because it looks good to me. So that is my created work. That is my creation. The fact that I used Michael's phone or I used Michael's camera to take the picture does not make him the copyright owner. So the fact that you have keyed in all these details in your camera, it doesn't mean that if another person uses your camera, then you own the copyright to it. Because mind you, there are people who rent out cameras to other photographers, as far as I know, right? Michael, can you confirm that there are people who rent out cameras?
Yes, people rent cameras all the time.
So if I rent out a camera from someone and the person has keyed in all these details already in the camera, it doesn't mean that every image that I take becomes his copyright, because those are my images, those are my creations, so those are my copyrights. So I hope that answers.
Yeah, and my second question, it's concerning shooting models, right? So yes, we are supposed to provide model release forms and all that. And in the case where I identify as a nude and a beauty photographer, where I am supposed to provide, let's say, a model release form to the model, but I restrain from it because it will look more like I'm trying to restrict a lot of access to, let's say, the particular picture. And I have a verbal agreement where we all state that we both agree to the fact that, hey, after taking the pictures, I'm not going to keep them like the last time when I took the pictures. I'm going to post them. And she goes like, yes, you are going to post them. And after the shoot, I do post the pictures. Then she comes back to tell me, hey, that, this, that, and I should take it down. And I go like, oh no, we both agreed we're not going to take it down. Then she goes like, the dad wants to take me to court or something like that. How is my situation like if I should have this kind of scenario? How is my situation going to be like in court if I should have this kind of scenario?
Okay, so you take the pictures with the model without signing a contract, and then you repost the pictures on.
I don't repost. We both agree to me posting the pictures after shooting whatever it is we have to shoot. I have an idea that we have verbal agreement, where in the case it's nothing like a paper or a written down agreement. If there's a verbal agreement, you can also rely on that, right? So I'm asking if I should find myself in such a situation where, let's say, the dad had taken me to court and I brought out the fact that we had a verbal agreement that after the shoot, I'm posting the pictures. And I didn't bring up, let's say, the model release one because here in Ghana, people take things the wrong way. Everybody take everything in a different way. You provide a model release form, hey, you want to act all professional and you want to do this, you want to do that, and the possibility that they'll come back to work with you will be very, very, very minimum. It's different from doing a page job. A page job, they both agree to it. But with these projects where, let's say, the model is somehow your friend or someone you're close to, and you want to put out a model release form stating whatever it is stated in there, it becomes kind of confusing. So let's say I don't want to have that issue where like I don't want to have the issue where I'll be having, let's say, a quarrel with whoever it is I want to shoot later in the future, and I go like, okay, let me not in my mind or personally, I don't want to bring out any model release form. I want us to verbally agree to the fact that I am posting the pictures right after I'm done shooting the said nude picture. Then later we find ourselves in court saying the dad saying he saw the picture of his daughter online and I don't have the right to post it and all that. What is my situation if I should find myself in such situation in the court? I mean,
Well, that would to an extent take us back to I'm getting feedback.
My line was breaking, so I didn't hear that. But then, Joey, I think you had a verbal agreement, which right now, if you're asked to produce it, will you be able to produce that agreement you had verbally?
so that's the problem. We both know there are instances where people stand on verbal agreements. So if I don't have a recording of the verbal agreement, that is what I want. What's my situation? Since I know that I am not lying, that we both agreed on it, right?
But you
What
have
is my
nothing to prove.
Yes, but you have nothing to prove that you both agreed on it. What's my situation at the
I
court?
think already then your case will be thrown out. Ama, is that not right? He has no proof, like they verbally agreed, but now the girl can deny it because there's nothing to prove that you guys agreed on that.
I'm not sure she heard that.
Yeah, Ama, are you here with us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you would have to amplify your voice, please.
I have to amplify my voice.
Hello, Ama.
Yeah.
Okay, we can hear you now. So his case is that they had, but your voice is a bit far away.
I'm trying to do this without the mic. I'm getting feedback from my end. Anyways, so your
Okay,
case
so
is that
yes,
you have a verbal agreement with this person. You take pictures and then
yes.
you post the pictures on your page or something. And then she comes back and she says she didn't agree with you to post the picture, so she wants you to take it down. Is that the question?
And that
Yeah.
doesn't agree with it.
I mean, not her dad, but so who is suing you? Is it the model that's taking you to court or the model's dad? Because the model's dad does
model.
not have any.
No, because the
But,
excuse would be my dad doesn't agree with it, so take it down. Then you end up being in court because the model has sued you because the dad said she should sue you. That kind of situation.
Okay, so that's often than not would be a matter of contract, and I think we emphasized it at the last discussion that we had that it is always important to have contracts. And I'm saying this because
I do agree on the contract, but here's the case. We have, should I say, Michael and I, we have this kind of vibe between us where, let's say, we collaborate on shoots all the time. Then all of a sudden, I just pull up a contract and say, Michael, after this collaboration, I don't want you to edit any of the pictures. I don't want you to post any of the pictures. They are mine because we did the collaboration. The kind of vibe we had before the contract will never be there again. And believe me, I think I wouldn't have access to Michael again if I should hit him up. Or Michael, am I lying? If you have been under the gun.
I think you're right. Yes, I have lots of people who complain that once they pull out a contract to or these are model release, the models start running out, and I'm like, that already is saving you a lot of problem. So if that model says because you are pulling up a contract, I won't sign, I don't want to shoot with you again, I think that's fair enough. Even though perhaps in the past you might have had a good working relationship with the person, but trust me, this could be a way of avoiding upcoming trouble. You get it? So,
Yeah,
Joey,
yeah.
I think that's the situation, and we are trying to create, the right procedures. So, if we should all insist on this model release signing, the models will get. That's why I'm very, very eager to get models involved in these discussions, because most of them don't know about these things. I
Right.
shot a model last Saturday, and I put up a contract, and she was like, she has never heard of such a thing. So I gave her time that she should take it along, go read about it, and then do some research. And it took her about 2 days. She texted me that she had signed it because now she understands it. So henceforth, that's what we are going. We want to create the awareness. Joey, you get it? So even though it might sound a bit weird, we want to. But then in your case, you have that vibe with a person, personal vibe, and then you had a verbal agreement which has no, there's no evidence. So if she takes you to court, Charlie, you will be hot. So I think the best thing is to liaise with her, as Amma said. Sit down and talk, have an out of court settlement. It's always better. Charlie, going to court.
And
So, Amma, what do you have
have
to add?
one last. Okay, let's talk.
Okay, let's hear from Amma if she agrees with what I said.
Yes, I totally agree with what you said. And I recall that the last time we had this discussion, there was a comment that came in about whether we are limited only to photographers and non-models. And I felt the need to always chip in. When it comes to model, contract plays a very huge role when it comes to model. Because of course, when you are taking the images of a model, oftentimes, what are you taking the images for, right? When it comes to matters of copyright, if you're taking images of a model, you are using a model. Who owns the copyright? You have to define that, because a lot of times, if the model that you are photographing is going to sign on to another modeling agency or another like big company, right? They might create a portfolio and then go with that portfolio to the modeling agency or the modeling company or whoever. At that moment, if you haven't set out who owns the copyright, if they are taking that image and they are going with it, they might be infringing on your copyright as a photographer, right? But if you set it out in your agreement, then you define the limits or the use to which the model will have to use these photographs that you have taken of the model. And especially when it comes to what we call boudoir photographs, or what you term as nude photographs, you would want to have a contract, because those are photographs that touch nerves in a bit, right? And if I say touch nerves in a bit, it would mean that you could take a picture, you have the copyright, but you might use the picture in a way that would infringe on the image rights of the model, right? And so that model has the right to come to you and say, take down those pictures, because that is not what we had agreed that you would use the images for. So, Joey, I don't know if that's sort of like in a way answers the question that you asked.
It answers. I think Michael answered some, and you completed it.
Yeah.
My last question concerning the wedding photography side. So if I have concerning my photography in general, with my rate card, with my wedding rate card and all that, if I have, let's say, in my terms and conditions, right, I state in there that upon payment, you agree to the above terms and conditions. Is that in a way some form of intellectual and copyright claims? Like, let's say I have in my rate card that, okay, so I have access to the pictures and I can post on social media for any other references. If clients insist on not posting on social media, they should pay extra 10% of the amount. So most of the time, clients don't like paying the extra 10% of the amount. And the last point I make it, sending of deposits means agreeing to whatever it is that has been stated in my terms and conditions. Is that in a way equal to the fact that I have both intellectual and copyright of whatever it is product I'm giving off to the client, provided they send the deposit and agree to whatever it is I have stated in my terms and conditions?
Okay, I don't know if I got the question right, but if you have, so you have your e agreement, right?
Yes.
And the person is supposed to pay the deposits as what? As an agreement to whatever.
No, so the deposits, most of the times people just come and do inquiries. Hey, I want us to shoot, let's say Wednesday, and they will never come back, right? So we
Right.
photographers, I know a lot of us have sorted to asking for deposits to confirm booking, asking to confirm the date you want us to shoot. So with my terms and conditions, I have in there that sending in deposits confirms the booking and that you have agreed to all other terms and conditions stated in the rate card that I have sent to you. Does that in a way, if I have, let's say, issues about me owning the rights to the pictures and me being able to put on social media and all that, if I have those kind of information in the rate card, does that also amount to, let's say, me telling you or me letting you know that I have copyright to whatever it is that I'm doing? In as much as you have paid and I have made you know that the deposit confirms the booking and also you agree to the stated terms and conditions.
Let me just chip in one now with my, especially with my wedding contracts, because most of the weddings I've shot, it's good to meet your clients before you shoot actually weddings, but most of them happen to be busy, so I don't even meet them until the day of the wedding, which is bad, but this is Ghana, so we manage it. Now I have an contract, so over there, because I can't meet you in person to sign, I have a statement boldly written there that what making the initial deposits is also a confirmation of you signing this contract, which is binding. Now, Joey, with yours, I think the basic thing now has to do with you listing your terms there. So once your terms are on that,
I have listed everything there. I'm just asking, is it also the same as having, if let's say I have stated in there that the photographer retains rights to the image and is allowed to post on any other social media or for any other commercial use. So the last bullet point, yes, once you pay.
So
yes, so it's binding. It's binding. Amma, what do you have to say?
So yes. So once it's there in your terms and conditions are binding. When you go on the website, they're giving you terms and conditions, privacy policies, and all of those things. Once you click I agree, you are in a way bound by those terms and conditions, provided they are not onerous, right? Onerous in the sense that they are not I mean, you should know what onerous means, right? So once you click on the I agree, once they click on the I agree, or they make the deposit and they click on the I agree, then they are bound by whatever conditions and terms that you have included in your what you call your rate card. So
all right, so
Joey, one last question before
no, Joey, hold on.
No, I have one last. Oh, relax. I know. Just one last question. Just one last. Don't let me forget
30
this.
seconds.
Jesus, I just forgot this question.
Good. So let's go to Catalyst. Let's go to Catalyst and come back.
Relax. It's concerning something she just said. Oh. Okay, go to Catalyst.
But once you forgot it, then okay. So Catalyst, you're on.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, you have 10 minutes also. Thank you very much.
No, I don't really think I need that much time.
Okay, so first of all, you said you wanted to touch on Joey's thing, then you go to Amma.
Yes, on Joy's issue of the father coming in and threatening to go to court and all of that, one thing we should know is about privacy. With some genre of photography that we do, privacy is key. For instance, I wrote something down here on my board whilst we're doing this. It says
You guys are scaring me.
if someone is doing something in a place where they would have an expectation of privacy. So, for instance, you're shooting nude of someone. Ordinarily, you don't expect the person to go nude and walk around in public unless they want to. You understand? So, you shoot nude pictures of someone or naked photos of someone. They have the right to privacy when it comes to those images. So, if you do not have a contract with them, then although fine, you might have the right, the economic right or moral right to the images, they have the right to the privacy of those images. So once they do not give your consent, once they tell you, please take it down or please do not post these images, you have to respect that because an invasion of privacy is an offense. I hope I'm right, Amma. It's an offense when it comes to the Ghana laws. An invasion of privacy is an offense. So if the person says, please do not post my nude pictures on your page, you need to respect that. If not, you are probably breaking at least 2 laws that I know of. That's one, invasion of privacy. And then 2, you are going to have some issues in terms of state laws, which
Defamation
is
of character,
saying
I
that
think.
you're actually committing an offense by
What's the
exposing
defamation
someone.
of character?
Yeah. So all of those things can come into play. We take these things lightly. Oh, they are my pictures, so I can do whatever I want with them. But you have an extent to which you can do it based on the type of images. So that's what I wanted to touch on there.
Okay, so guys, just by the way, tomorrow will be Catalyst one-on-one session. He's going to take us through the proper business procedures, and a whole lot of that. So we'll talk about that later. Catalyst, your time is running, so carry on.
Oh, okay. One thing that I saw, and I just need clarifications. So these ones are not really questions because I really appreciate what Alma has done this evening at your end and afternoon at my end. I'm very, very happy. Yeah. I've enjoyed it. I've taken notes and I'm excited. Thank you, Alma, for this. I saw that there's this thing I wrote down that anything you share on social media with a business account is considered commercial use. I just wanted to clarify if that was an option because in commerce, we say that if a business puts something out on social media, it's in respect to marketing. It's a form of advertisement. So if a business has a business account on Instagram, so I'm just to clarify, on Instagram, we have personal accounts, we have a creator account and a business account. Now, creator account and business account can be deemed as both business accounts. So we have that in case maybe you have a personal account, so don't know about the business account side. Now, if someone posts a picture on their business account, it's deemed as for commercial use. That's based on the terms and conditions that I saw in Instagram. Now, if you took a picture of someone and then the person gave you didn't give you the right to use those images, it says, please, these images are quite personal. I don't want you to post them. Maybe the person was obese at that time. So took a picture of that and said, please, I don't really want you to post this because I commissioned you for a work. There wasn't a contract. And you respect that during that time. Maybe 2 years down the line, the person goes to the gym, exercises and all of that and loses weight and posts, what do we call it? A collage, or is it a great photo of before
Yeah,
and
great.
after, and uses that picture before and after and posts it on, say, Facebook or Instagram. Just to clarify from what I've been studying since yesterday, because I wanted to be prepared to confirm things based on what you see. When the person posts on Instagram, you can't also post the same image on your business page or on your page, because you say, fine, since the person has posted on Instagram, then it's public. So then we can all post. Because most of us do it as photographers. The client says, don't post my pictures. Then we finally realize, oh, their client has posted it on their page. So Charlie, then we can also post it now. Sometimes, because what I see to the extent of privacy infringement is they look beyond scope, that substance over form, if I am right. And substance over form will say that, well, the person posted it on their page because they just wanted it to be visible to just their friends. Let's say Facebook, the person has 100 friends. They posted it, or Instagram, they have 100 followers. They posted it there just for their friends. You have 200K followers on Instagram. Maybe the person is not interested in that large audience. If you post it there and the person tells you, please take it down, is it legally wrong for the person to tell you that, considering the person has already posted it on their page? I don't know if I'm driving home the question.
Yeah, I think the question took a different turn. I was trying to follow, but I think it took a different turn, and I couldn't follow anymore. But from the little bit that I gathered, let me just try and see if I can explain it. If the person commissioned you to take the pictures of them, right? Then, as we had discussed in terms of the law, because it's a commission work, they own the copyright as the person that commissioned the work. So you, the photographer, if for any reason you want to use the photo on your page, you would have to seek their consent before you can do it. If you don't seek their consent, then they have every reason to reach out to you and say, take it down because I didn't give you the consent to do it. It does not matter that at one point they had posted it on their page. And if I'm supposed to understand the whole concept of having a business page on IG, it would mean that you as a photographer, your page is a business page. So if you are posting the picture there, then in a way you are advertising your work or advertising your work to the public. That's, well, I took a picture of this person and blah, blah, blah. So to some extent, you are marketing their copyright for your own benefit. And so if you don't seek their consent and they don't give you the go ahead and you go ahead to use it, they have every right to reach out to you and say, take it down because I didn't give you the go ahead to repost it. So I don't know if that's gives some clarity. And I mean, I'm just answering it from how I got your question, unless there's something I missed.
Well, it does.
So in the end, it's all about consent.
Yes. And one more too, this is more of an add-on and clarification seeking because I'm not a lawyer. I'm too old to.
Okay, so hold on 1 second. Catalyst, 1 second. Amma, are we restricted by time? We have about 7 minutes to end this session. So will you still be able to be with us or you have to leave?
Please, I have remembered my question though.
Okay, Amma, just answer me in the private chat. No, answer me in the private. Let me engage you a bit in the private chats. So Catalyst, please go on.
Okay, so one thing that I want to say is there are times where we, for instance, have shoots with models, and then these models come with what do we call them? Clothing from boutiques and stuff like that, or other commercial people. We take the pictures, all right. We give them some copies that they can use for exclusive personal use as based on the Copyright Act. And then you find out that these boutiques post their pictures on their Instagram, tagging the model and all of those things. To be honest, first and foremost, if I take a picture of Don and then Amma posts the picture and says that, oh, this is Don, my friend, that is fine based on the emphasis of the Copyright Act. But then if I take a picture of Michael wearing a shirt that Amma is selling, and then Amma takes the picture and puts it on her page,
For
maybe
advertisement
her,
purposes.
yes, for her professional page, and then says that, see my customer flaunting his shirt. If you're not lovely, if you want some, you can hit me up. That is commercial use. That
Right.
is not something which is actually protected by the Copyright Act, where you can, when Amma was speaking about where you can use the pictures and then you are not infringing the Copyright Act. You're actually infringing the Copyright Act. If you are one, for instance, a business, because you gave out the outfits to the model to come use for the shoot, you are posting it on your page without the consent of the author, especially maybe it was a collabo, but then the author of the pictures is the photographer. So you give it out and then they use it on their commercial page. It's an infringement. It's still an infringement.
Right.
Also, the same way you take pictures of, say, a celebrity, because celebrities' pages are deemed as commercial pages when you look at the terms and conditions of these social media carefully. That's why you have scenarios where they are suing celebrities to some extent for the use of certain images. So Amma might say it's cool. Well, in Ghana, you can use it for personal use and all those elements. But then let's not forget the definition of personal use and commercial use. So someone takes a picture and then you download the picture, you print it, and you put it in your studio. Your studio is a commercial place of business. Ideally, whatever you show visually is for marketing purpose. So it's commercial use. So the fact that you put it there saying that I'm appreciating Don's pictures, the law doesn't really protect you on that front, that you are Don's friend, so it's cool. When Don says that, that's my picture, you didn't consult me, you used it, you've used it for commercial purpose, and Don can sue you for that. I just want to clarify if that is right.
Right. Yes. So honestly, I keep on saying that at the end of the day, it comes down to contracts, and I cannot emphasize contracts enough. And
Contract.
I always repeat, it doesn't have to be like a 10-page contract. Don't go to a lawyer and let the lawyer draft a 20-page contract for you to sign. You can put together like a 1-pager contract. There are contracts that deal with just copyright, right? That deals with what rights that you are giving out. So if you are taking, if you are being commissioned for a work, you have to set out and decide, who should own the copyright and to what extent they can use the work that you are creating. So, for instance, in the scenario where you gave of this person that comes to you and then takes a picture and says, take a picture of me, and then goes to give the picture to, let's say, the person who owns the dress. And then before you realize the person who owns the dress is advertising the dress with the picture that you took. The question that comes down to it at the end of the day is who owns the copyright to the picture, so that the right of action to contact the business and say take down those pictures would depend on who owns the copyright to those pictures. So in the case where the person who commissioned you is the one who has gone to give out the pictures and you have not determined with the person what limits you are placing on the use of your rights to those pictures. Then you cannot go to the person who is using the pictures to advertise, to tell them to take it down. Because at the end of the day, the only right that you retain is your right, your moral right. So the only thing you can go to that person and say is that I took the picture, give me credit for the picture that I took. But you cannot go to the person and say, I own the copyright to those pictures, take down the pictures, because you have not assigned any rights to yourself when you were dealing with this person who commissioned you for the work. Like I said, in other jurisdictions, the fact that someone has commissioned you does not automatically give them the right to copyright in the absence of a contract. But our law limits us in that aspect. So our law says that in the absence of a contract, to the contrary, the person who has commissioned you to do the work owns the copyright to those work. So if you do not limit the use of the right in a contract, then that person can take your pictures and go and give it to another person to use to market. The only person who can say take down those pictures, don't advertise it, don't use it for your business, is the person who owns the copyright. And who is the person who owns the copyright? The person who has commissioned you for the work. So what you can do as the moral right holder is to contact this person and say, I took those pictures. Why is my name not appearing? So, of course, maybe you can say, until you put my name there, I am pushing for you to stop using those pictures or take it down. Oftentimes, what they will do is to quickly push your name over there, and then they've afforded you the moral rights to those pictures. So always have some sort of agreement. Someone can commission you for a work, but make sure you put there in a clause that they are taking, and I keep on saying this, yeah, I'm taking the picture of you for your personal use. So you cannot use it for any commercial purpose. It's just one line clause that you have put in there, and you've limited the person. So even though the person has commissioned, has paid you, like, let's say 500 to do the shoot, you have limited what right they can have to use the image that you are taking of them. So that if the limit is that, okay, because, well, you can have the right, but you are limited to personal use only. If you see that the person is going to give it to this person who owns the business, the clothing business, to advertise with it, then quickly you can contact the person and say, take down those pictures because I own the copyright. I gave a limited license or a limited use to those rights to the person that I took the picture of. And it does not include using it for commercial purposes. So you are infringing on my copyright and you have to take those pictures down. So I don't know if that explains.
Well, it does. And then I have my last question, and then Joe, you wanted to say something?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I remember my question now. If I can answer. So concerning the fact that, let's say, Emmanuel Bobie posted his picture, the Asante Hene picture online, where he wasn't given or sorted permission to use the pictures on, let's say, on the bloggers page or on the newspapers. You mentioned, if I'm right, Amma mentioned something about putting out that this image cannot be used. So I think, in a sense, it's more like all rights reserved. I own the pictures today, so it's not for any commercial use, right? And before they can use the image, they would have to sort out my permission. So, my question is, in as much as I have put it out there that it's all rights reserved and this particular image cannot be used publicly, and the fact that the law allows this image to be used to a certain limit. You mentioned they would have to sort my consent before they publish the image or they publish the picture they have to use for their fair use, their right of fair use. Right? You mentioned that. Am I
right? Did you ask a question in there?
Okay, so let me come in a bit.
I've not.
Let me come in a bit.
I'm trying to clarify if you mentioned all that, and then I'll ask the question based on it.
Okay, can you just repeat what you were asking again?
So I'm like, you mentioned in your earlier statement that
Yeah.
you would have to be sorted permission if they have to use your image online. In as much
If
as
you have restricted the use
yes,
to it.
if you have restricted the use to it,
Okay.
right? Publicly, you have restricted the use to it. They have to sort your permission online, right? If they have to sort your permission, sorry. But in there too, you mentioned that these bloggers or these newspapers or this media have the right of fair use. So before they came to sort my permission and I said no, they had already used it and are trying to rely on the fact that they have this right of fair usage. But when they came in for the permission seeking, I told them no. Do I have a case here?
So yes, that's what I was trying to explain, that the right to fair use, as you use it, the right to permissible use, let me use it that way. So the permissible use, it says that if you have restricted the the use of your image, and then they go ahead and they use it, they would have infringed. So the
No.
fact that they are allowed to use it does not
Yeah.
mean that they can ignore the fact that you have expressly stated that they cannot use the image without seeking your consent prior.
Okay, so if and I mean if they post the image, then they come after to come and tell you, oh, I want to use your image for this and that and that and that, so that they can have this clause or this proof that, oh yes, they sought your consent. Would that be like, can I actually sue them that after they are done posting and now they are coming back to come and ask for permission?
I okay, so they have infringed, and then they've come
Should
back
I
to
come
use.
in?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so if I get what Joey is asking, now in the case of these cases are real, like they really happened. But Pixel took pictures. Let's say one kid was royally dressed, at the background. Then he even, I think he had his that particular image didn't have his logo on, so he posted on his social media. It got lots of attention. It trended. And I think he stated there that you shouldn't use it without his permission and all that. But then I think most of the online media houses took that image and used without even giving him credit. So if that's what Joey is asking about, in a situation like this, can he go at them, and then ask for some compensation, or can he seek legal thing that thing? So
Yeah,
like
let me add to what you said. Let me add to what you said. So let's say if that particular social media was Twitter, in the case where in Twitter's terms and conditions, they have stated that when you post an image online, you don't have any rights to the images again. Anybody or anyone can publicly use a picture. But then, even though you know the terms and conditions of, let's say, Twitter, you still state there that this image.
Wait. If you post the image online, you don't have any right to the image. Is that what you said?
No, for Twitter, I know for Twitter's terms and the updated Twitter terms and conditions, they have stated in there that the moment you post online or you post any image on Twitter, anyone can access the picture and can use it for whatever it is purpose they want to use it for. That is the terms and conditions, the updated terms and conditions of Twitter as at now, as we speak. So after stating, let's say after Emmanuel Bouvier stated that I don't want this picture to be used commercially or anything, can it still be a case he can prove in court, in as much as Twitter has said any image posted on, let's say, via our social media app is actually open for usage?
So now I think the question should be, does the laws of Ghana supersede those of the social media platforms?
Okay.
I am not privy to, I don't use Twitter. So I am not privy to what Twitter's terms and conditions are. So, but I would say that, of course, most social media apps would give a sub license to Twitter, but not to every other user of Twitter. I know, for instance, IG, for instance, you give a sub license to Twitter, but it doesn't give every other person who uses Twitter a license to use your image. So Twitter can post, like repost your image, for instance, on their page. But I don't think any other person can just up and repost your image without seeking your consent to repost. So as much as I'm not privy to what the terms and conditions of Twitter are, I wouldn't be able to offer a good enough explanation as to the question that you are asking. But I do know for sure that if you put a clause, if you expressly state that a media, like a publication or like a media broadcaster should not repost your image without seeking your prior consent, and then they go ahead and they use it under the justifiable right of use, then they would have infringed your right. And it doesn't matter that subsequently, when you brought your attention to it, they came back to you and they said, okay, now give us the consent, give us the go ahead, let me do it. So you can take action against them. Taking action against them does not mean that, of course, you go to court with them. But if you think it is only reasonable, it is only fair that you give them the go ahead to do it. You sit with them, you negotiate something, you agree to give them the consent, and then you move away from the table. So that's the bit that I can say from the question that I got.
Okay, I think we have drained enough of Ama's energy. 2 solid hours. Wow. Okay, so I think for now we would, Catalyst, I think it would just be fair that we release Ama, because we don't know her plans for this evening. We've sucked 2 good hours out of her. Is it a question you want to ask her?
No, it's just to clarify for Ama's education. Okay, so that she can go in peace, knowing that she has full knowledge of all of that. So Twitter's
okay, so 30 seconds so that we can let her go, then we'll continue our discussion.
It's just the same as that of the other social media platforms. It's just giving a sub something, yeah, sub license to Twitter, but not to everybody. And even with them, they have a limitation that they can use it for promotional purpose whatsoever. But when it comes to selling of that for commercial purpose, they still have to contact you in order to arrange for a due settlement.
Okay, great. I think I'll have to. I'm not on Twitter, so I'm not privy. As a matter of fact, being IG, I don't really
invite you there.
And condition their
privacy. Don't go there.
So this is a good enough information and education. Thank you so much for drawing my attention to it.
Okay, Ama, please sign out. We don't want to keep you here longer now, so please sign out.
Okay, so
we'll bring you again another time, but for today, just sign out.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, thank you so much for having me, and I think it's been interesting. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for being here. I wish I could just, unmute everybody. Then they will all shout, "Thank you, Ama, for being here." But unfortunately, they won't. Even if they shout, we can't hear them.
Thank you, Ama, for being here.
He's always one of the stubborn boys at the back.
All right.
Okay, so Ama, I will interact with you backstage, but for now, we have released you. Thank you very much for making time to be here with us. We'll talk more backstage.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, Joey, you have 60 seconds. Tell us about your workshop.
All right, guys. So in my upcoming workshop,
Catalyst, don't go.
Catalyst going. He's going. I don't know whenever I start saying stuff about workshop, Catalyst is all right. So you guys, I'm holding up a workshop, a 3-day workshop on the 25th, 26th, and 27th of this month at Pixel 8 Studios for a fee of just 500 Ghana cedis. We are going to tackle things related to lighting and editing. I think a lot of people don't have the time to sit down and learn the theory of both lighting and editing, like the in-depth stuff that comes with lighting and editing. I want to really tackle that, and we will have practical sessions on lighting, and we'll have practical sessions on editing. And there will be some giveaways. I have sponsors sponsoring the workshop. There's Go Pixel out to do some giveaways over there, and there'll be food provided by Grass Kitchen. So yeah, make it a point to book a seat just for 10 people. The seats are being booked all the time. So if you want to get a seat, kindly go check my page. The information is on my page. My page, you guys, I don't know if you guys follow me, but it's the same, the Joey Dutch on Instagram.
That's his name.
And yes, that's the name you can see here. So kindly go check it out, check the information. Let's try and book a seat, and let's take our photography level from, let's say, where we are now to another level. And I know you guys will be disappointed. So before that, I know I'm going to give out raw files from the session, a couple of my retouching essentials, and let's say some presets I want to give out during the particular workshop. So I wouldn't advise you to miss it, but if it's of no importance to you, kindly share the message to someone else who is ready to learn. Thank you very much.
All right, Charlie, thanks for being here with us. Now we'll take Catalyst. Joey, go and look for your food. Always looking for food.
Well,
okay, so Catalyst, tomorrow we have a full session with Catalyst, one-on-one, like we had with Amma today.
Let me introduce my session. Why are you trying to take over my speech? What is this?
I'm sorry.
So tomorrow we are going to touch on basically photography business in the sense of registration, tax requirements. So we'll first touch on tax identification number, the requirement for it, and then the benefits for registering. Because I mean, you don't just tell someone to register or join a club just for fun, but you let them understand the benefits and then also the requirement for it. And also when you need to register a business name. Then I'll talk about the statutory timelines and talk about taxation. As you being a sole proprietor and you being a company, what's the advantage of registering as a sole proprietor? What's the advantage of registering as a company? And what are the statutory requirements when it comes to both? They both don't have the same thing. They have different statutory deadlines and all of that. So tomorrow we'll just brush on that slightly and then see how it goes.
Are you done now? Okay, guys, so this is what we'll be doing tomorrow. So tomorrow is a Catalyst one-on-one session. I will be doing like 1% of the talk. He'll be doing 99.9%. So guys, make a date with Catalyst tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. If you haven't subscribed, if this is your first time here, or if you've been coming here but you haven't subscribed yet, well, some people don't know whether they subscribed or not. Just look down there. If the subscribe button is red, it means you haven't subscribed. So tap on it till it becomes gray. That means you've subscribed. And then there's a bell beside it. Just tap on it and then choose all, which means what? Anytime we come live, it will just notify. I won't have to post it somewhere, or people don't have to share it for you to see. Once we come live, you will just see it and then come on. And if you haven't liked this stream, just go ahead and like it. If you're using your phone, close the chat, not the window, just close the chat. You see the thumbs up there. Tap on it and then tap on chat again. It will bring the chat window here for you. So we've done 2 hours, 20 minutes. Laurie Lawson just came. She went to look for money, so we should send her our Momo number so she will Momo. Okay, so yesterday I brought up something. You know, we've been using StreamYard for our live discussions because during the lockdown, we were using OBS and OBS was misbehaving, you know, all that thing. So we decided to use StreamYard, and StreamYard has a limitation, 20 hours per month. Now, as of now, we have exhausted all 20 hours. So after a Catalyst session tomorrow, we won't be able to have this kind of discussion because then we'll have to wait till next month to be able to do that. So we were looking at you guys are still. I intentionally did that 1% and 99.9% thing, and you guys want to chew me. Naresh and Sheung, you guys want to chew me. Yes, so we are looking at getting a StreamYard account so that we can continue this discussion unlimited. Now, an account is, I think, $25. That's about 150 Ghana cedis. So we are trying to open up an appeal for fund thing. Yesterday, I wanted Loretta to be in charge, but since she wasn't here, today she's here. You're going to sleep, Sesame. So we are going to, we will open up for donations. If you want to, this is just for StreamYard. So if somebody wants to just buy the StreamYard account for us, no problem. I can just give you my account, then you just but it's $25. That's like 150 Ghana. So yesterday we did some calculation. If 10 people decide to give, I think 20 cedis or so. Yeah, if 10 people decide to give 20 Ghana each, we'll have a StreamYard account, which we can use for the whole month without restriction, because I intend bringing other people on board. There are more people who contacted me backstage that, yes, Vinny, I'm seeing, okay, I'm seeing 50 now. There are more people backstage who want to join and then come and share, their knowledge with us. But because we are restricted, we can't do that. So if you guys are willing to contribute, I think somebody can just decide, okay, this 150 Ghana, I'll pay it myself so that you register. Or yesterday, Sheon says, he said he was going to give us £10. I don't know how much £10 is. So if you want to contribute towards getting the StreamYard, I could buy that account myself, but I want to be sure that you guys really appreciate what we are doing. That's why I opened it up for contribution. So if you want to be part of it, I don't mind. If you can say, oh, me, I want to buy the whole $25 thing. It's like 150 Ghana. You can go ahead. Or if, let's say, you want to contribute 10 cedis, 20 cedis, any amount that we can bring together to get the account, I'm up for it. Yeah. But tomorrow after Catalyst session, we would have to wait until we re-get it. All right. So that's that. Now, thank you very much for being part of this. It's been very, very insightful. I am sure most of you would have to watch this video over again to understand some of the things that were said. And then you may have to recommend this video to other people. The more people get to know about these things, the easier it will be for us to do business. If all the models know about this, it will be easier for photographers to work with them. You get it? So let's send this video out. Let people know about it so that our work will be easier for us. You get it? Let's have a united front. And the community is coming into force. We are really forming the community. So just stay put, stay safe, wash your hands, use your nose mask, use your sanitizer if you can. Stay safe wherever you are. We'll meet again tomorrow at 8 a.m. for Catalyst session. So with the donation, if you can hit me up or hit Loretta up, right? Thank you very much for joining. So now everybody start leaving one by one. I'm going to take off my camera. Then probably we can chat in there for some time, but my camera is going off.